I am a morning news anchor and medical reporter for Fox 26 in Houston, Texas. I went to Baylor University and I studied telecommunications. Well, I started out, my first job offer was actually a tiny, tiny town as a morning anchor, but the pay was horrifying to me. And I wanted to be on my own, but I couldn't live on my own if I took that job. And so I decided that I would save some money and figure out exactly what I wanted to do with my life and what market. My mom at the time didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom anymore because she was having this empty nest syndrome, right? And so she was going to nursing school. So I'm studying telecom, she's studying nursing, and I loved her nursing. I was intrigued. It was fun to help her study. And that's what I thought. I want to be an anchor and a medical reporter. I wanted to marry them so that I could do both. So I decided to go save money. So I went and became a medical assistant and worked at the University of North Carolina hospitals for a few years as a medical assistant, learned everything I could about the medical field, and then moved back to Texas, went into advertising for a year so that I could start making contacts, start working on putting a tape together, because at this time my reel was, 2 years old and I needed a fresh one. And so then I started making all these contacts and I got my first job as a evening news anchor and medical reporter in a small town in North Texas where I was from. So it all worked out. I would say so. And it actually went back to the first job. So I had a producer who I adored at my first job, and she went on and she moved to Houston and she was doing good things. At that time, I'd moved to Florida for my second job. And so we were in, different states at this point. And she called me up. She knew my contract was about to end in Florida. And she said, "You're not going to believe it. Our evening anchor just quit. Overnight your tape now." Well, things were different back then. We're talking 25 years ago. You couldn't do anything, send it via, you weren't going to email a link. I had to literally go to the post office and mail my VHS tape, right? Wow. And so I overnighted it. I got a call a few days later, and I feel like that relationship changed everything because I got the job. It was incredible. And it's so important to know too, is I had a big time agent in New York City, and I thought that they would get my job. And it ended up just being somebody that I knew at my first job that helped make it happen. I think it really goes back to being a little kid. And when we did role play as little kids, my friends and I always, we were the teachers, and we would set up our chalkboards. It was so cheesy, but it was all the neighborhood kids, and we would be teachers, and we had so much fun. For me, a lot of days when I'm sitting at the anchor desk, and we're almost a 24/7 news channel now because we stream. So we're on the anchor desk for hours at a time. But during that time, I really feel like I'm teaching. I feel like I'm giving valuable information, sometimes life-saving information. And it's very empowering to know that you're making a difference in your community. Also, as a medical reporter, to be able to tell people, listen, this is a first treatment of its kind, or this is a new procedure. It's right here in your own backyard. It's going to change your life. It just feels so amazing to be able to do that. And it's every day is something new in the news business. That's why there's no second verse, same as the first. And every day is fresh. Every day is something new. And it's just wonderful. I love the industry so much. I was so excited to do this because I was really hoping to be able to work with some students, to be a mentor, to be able to help. In fact, when Baylor students reach out to me now and they just ask for advice, I get so excited because I have all this knowledge that I'm so willing to share. I just need the platform to be able to help them out. And it's just so exciting to think about what's to come in our industry. It is changing so much. And to be able to give them an insider's view of what that looks like now, I can honestly tell you it's changing by the day. I have never in my almost 30-year career now seen it change so fast. Heaven on earth. Wow. I loved it from the first time I put my foot on campus. I loved it the day I graduated, and every time I come back for a board meeting or a homecoming, it just feels like home. It feels godly and safe. Do you know the green and yellow swings that are all over campus? Yes. Just hanging under the big trees?
Yes.
Those were here 30 years ago when I was here. And I kid you not, I still remember my prayer. I'd swing in it and I would say, "Dear God, if this is your will, please let me be a news anchor in a major market, and please let me meet the perfect man for me and children. That was my dream. I almost broke into tears driving into campus, and I saw one of those swaying in the wind, and I was like, he answered all those prayers. I hope that, because I've been in Houston for so long, I've been on air there for 25 years. Wow. And I have people who say that they watched me when they were in kindergarten and they're grown adults now. But so my hope is that people in the Houston area will just remember me as that calming voice during the really rough storms. We've had a lot of them in Houston. Someone who was truly fair and balanced in the news industry, someone they learned from, someone they trusted. And then just as a loving mom and wife who was there for her family no matter what. Pick out whatever you want to do and put your eyes on it and call it and never give up. You got to set some goals along the way. You have to say, start out small at first, make them bigger, and put years and a plan onto that. This is what I want to do in a year. This is what I want to do in 3 years. This is 5. This is 10. It's probably going to change along the way, but you'll never get there unless you put those goals into place and don't let anybody ever tell you no. Some of the biggest national news anchors were, if you look up, there are so many of them who were fired at some really big jobs and they were told, you'll never be on TV again. And in their mind, they're like, that is not happening. I will be. And they were. Some people say the best jobs they ever got were after being fired in the industry. So even if something bad happens along the way, get back on that horse.